Joining me now for his weekly slot is Labour leader Chris Hipkins. Kia ora.
Kia ora, good morning.
Good morning to you. What do you make of the very public and ongoing infighting in Te Pāti Māori?
Well, they really need to sort themselves out. I think the people who are being shortchanged at the moment are the people who voted for them in the Māori electorates, because they're not getting the representation that they voted for. The Māori Party's busy fighting with each other. It means that they're not fighting for the people who voted for them.
Are you saying that because that might give you Labour an edge to take those Māori seats back again?
We're certainly going to be contesting the Māori seats very vigorously at the next election. Labour's won them all before and we'll be aiming to do that again.
So this might give you a helping hand, but you also need a coalition partner, right? So should you be troubled by the fact that there is so much trouble within Te Pāti Māori?
My goal between now and the next election is to grow Labour's vote as much as possible. And so my message to voters in the Māori electorates is the same as the message to voters everywhere around the country. If you want to see the back of this terrible government, if you want there to be a change at the next election, and you want a stable, forward-looking, positive government for New Zealand, then vote Labour.
Although Christopher Luxon yesterday was having a field day, I've never seen him so animated than he was talking about the infighting in Te Pāti Māori. So surely, while you say just vote for Labour and you won't have to worry about a three-headed government, that's still the more likely scenario, isn't it? So are you not concerned?
Well, Christopher Luxon is a very good case study in what goes wrong when you let the small parties call all of the shots. He's had Winston Peters and David Seymour running circles around him over the last 2 years. And I think New Zealanders can see that and go, we don't want that to continue. And so my message to them is, if you're sick of that, then vote Labour. Make sure that we're in the strongest position to form a government that represents the needs and the interests of all New Zealanders.
I want to talk to you about the news out this morning that school boards will no longer have to consider the Treaty of Waitangi. Is that a fair enough change, given that this is parents and volunteers that are having to get to grips with quite nuanced issues, or is this the national government kowtowing to Hobson's pledge, who wanted to see this?
This is a victory for Hobson's pledge. It's a step backwards for our education system. Māori kids don't do as well in our education system as non-Māori kids do. And I do think school boards have a responsibility to lead a change to ensure that we fix that. I don't think there's anything threatening about that. We also have a responsibility to teach our own history, to make sure our young New Zealanders grow up with an understanding of the country that they live in, and the Treaty of Waitangi is part of that, our understanding of that. Just as the Bill of Rights is, just as some of our colonial history is also important for us to learn about, it's important that we learn about the Treaty of Waitangi.
To be fair though, Erica Stanford has said, you know, this law, which I think was only brought in 2020, hasn't made any measurable difference to the achievement of Māori students, which I guess then begs the question, what's the point?
Well, you know, the history of this is a little bit longer than that. Prior to about 2020, it was a requirement for school boards, but it was in a thing called the National Education Guidelines. Hekia Parata repealed those and put the provisions that were in them into the Education Act to make them more visible and more transparent. Bear in mind that kids are in the education system for 13 years, the compulsory education system for 13 years. You don't see immediate changes in many cases. What we have to look at is long-term sustainable changes. And I'd hate to see our school curriculum, our school assessment practices becoming a political football in the way that they seem to be at the moment, because I think we owe it to the next generation of New Zealanders to try and take as much of the politics out of this as possible. That's what I tried to do as Minister of Education, and I'd encourage the current government to do the same.
I want to talk to you about capital gains. I know this has been in the public arena now for a week, but I'm no clearer as to how you'd value the properties that we're then going to measure the capital gains against, whether or not we can deduct costs that have been incurred in the process of earning those capital gains to offset that tax. Can we really not expect more information until after the election? I mean, why can't you tell us now so that we can make a decision based on all of the information?
Well, you can answer most of those questions now. So if I go through those, first of all, issues around costs. Yes, if you have spent money improving a property, so renovating and so on, you can deduct that from your capital gain.
What about interest
from any
costs?
liability that you may face under capital gains. You cannot deduct interest costs, no. You can, the valuation methods are all set out in the Tax Working Group's report. So there are a variety of different methods. You can use the straight line valuation method. You can have a commercial valuation.
They set out options.
All of that's set out there.
They didn't say which one to use, so which one are you going to use?
Well, the IRD set out guidance, as they do now, under the Bright Line test, on which valuation option is best to use in different circumstances.
Well, the Bright
if you're a
Line's
commercial
different,
property owner,
though.
you'll already have a current valuation
because it's
for a
based
building.
on sale, right? So that absolutely sets the line in the sand, what you bought it for and what you sold it for. But if you were saying we're drawing the line in the sand at 2027, we need another method. So which one are you planning to use?
Well, most people who sell a property will get a valuation before they sell their property so that they know they're not underselling it. For those who do this, who have additional properties in addition to the family home, getting a valuation on their property is hardly something they're going to be unaccustomed to.
No, but they do that when they sell it, not on July the whatever of 2027. So who pays for that valuation?
So they will have 5 years in which to get a valuation following the 1st of July 2027. The valuation, when it is done, will be the valuation as at the date, as at the 1st of July 2027. But they'll have 5 years to do that. Or when they sell the property, they'll need to have a valuation done as at the valuation date before they can, once they've sold the property, so that they can calculate whether there is any tax that they need to pay.
Thank you for your time this morning. That is the Labour leader, Chris Hipkins.